Rise and grind, everybody. Welcome to Wednesday morning, September 27th, 2017. Over the last 3 videos, I've named the dates, just kind of give you an idea of when this was made, when this content was made. So that way, maybe you look at it and be like, oh, he's saying dates every day. Let me see which date this video is. It just adds in that little spark, And what I like to call it is the alternative, and that's actually a term that I use a lot, not only in selling to my clients, but I use it in general, and I want to talk about that because I think that is the word of the day. Word of Wednesday, alternative. And alternative is basically the difference, right? And if you take a step back and you just think about how the power of the difference, the power of alternative, the power of options and freedom, and ultimately you're going to find the absolute basic in its just bare bones reason for motivation, reason for taking action. It creates an emotion that's so strong that it allows us to change our lives or not change our lives or worsen our lives, right? And let me explain. So, when you're growing up and as you're coming up, as you are kind of in the process of establishing yourself right now, you have alternatives. You have an alternative to just not do anything. You have an alternative to be like most of society, where they'll settle and they'll cross their fingers really hard and hope that they have Social Security to rely on, or they have a retirement with their company. And because they're going to give them a retirement, they are going to give them their full loyalty in hopes that someday they can retire at the age of 75 or 80 years old, and then they'll be all right. That's the alternative. Whereas the other crowd, and I think you're one of them, you want to go above and beyond that. You don't want to be limited like your elders were, like your parents were, like your friends' parents were, like your friends or your parents are. And so what you want to do is learn different tips, tricks, methods, strategies, right? And improve yourself, because the alternative to that lifestyle that you're looking to avoid is abundance, wealth, options, freedom, happiness, joy, right? And when you compare the two, it's the difference that pushes you. It's the alternative that pushes you. And why I'm bringing this up is because, and by the way, in case you don't know who I am, my name is Daniel. I'm the host. I'm your sales mentor. I'm your hustle junkie friend on YouTube. And what I do is I just collect every day I try to upload content. It's almost like my sales therapy. And what I do, I've been in sales for over 20 years. I currently lead a team right now. I currently sell and originate myself. And so having this rare opportunity of being a brand online while still in the trenches differentiates me versus the mentors that you may have heard of, like Grant Cardone, or let's say Jim Rohn or Brian Tracy. A lot of these older influencers, now they played a role in my upbringing. They definitely were present. Those were people that I picked pieces from. But even 10 years ago, these cats were pretty old, and so their methods were not exercised for at least 10, 15 years at that time. And it was okay at that time because there was no advancement in technology like there has been just in the last 10 years. And now that we have these other variables like internet, social media, fucking upload, live stream content, we now have the ability where we don't need to wait for a book to be released by Grant Cardone, or a book to be released by Brian Tracy, or a lot of these, like Zig Ziglar, a lot of these veterans, if you will, in the game. You have the option and the alternative to find another resource. And just like you have the alternative right now to assess yourself, that alternative will lead to the difference. And so, for example, you understand we are our worst critics, right? And so one of the things that I found very helpful and useful was I took recordings. I didn't do video recordings at the time because it just wasn't as popular. There was no camera on your cell phone, but we had voice recorders, and we had these old school voice recorders. I used to like the rap, I used to like to what they call freestyle when I was younger. And so I had this old tape recorder that I used to bring around whenever I used to, rap. I used to call it flow or freestyle with my friends. And so I pulled it out of this old storage drawer, and then I found it probably when I was around the age of 20, 21. And I brought it with me to work so that I can record myself and figure out how I sounded, because I was having a hard time in converting sales. I was having a hard time in taking a completed application or have a sales conversation, and it was bothering me. It was really killing me. And so I wanted to know why. I wanted to know, how come I can't get as many applications as the next dude? And because I am my worst critic, I was kind of always shy and fearful of recording myself, because inside, I had like this doubt, like, oh man, you're gonna find out you fucking suck ass and you shouldn't be in this job. I kind of had that doubt. I'm like, man, I don't have too much going for me. I need to make this job work. So fuck it, I'm gonna do it. And so I recorded myself. And again, because I'm my worst critic, I heard myself as a consumer. And whether or not I did it on purpose, I was able to find out the flaws of my statements. I learned the difference of saying a statement versus asking a question, which is a very powerful tool. I realized in listening to the recording that a majority of my sentences ended with periods, meaning that they were statements, versus sentences that ended in a question mark, which is steering the conversation. It's drive. You're the one driving. And why it's important is because those question marks open up to more conversation. That conversation opens up to the alternative, which is the prospect giving you more information, not hesitant to share the details with you in fear that you are just going to close them or you are a scam, right? And this is one of the main things that we deal with in sales. And at that time, that's what I had to deal with. I was taking loan applications. I actually had two jobs. So for part-time, I was taking loan applications for a company called AmeriQuest. It was actually Town and Country Credit, subsidiary of AmeriQuest. If you remember, they used to sponsor the Angels Stadium. It was this huge national subprime lender back prior to the meltdown. And so as a telemarketer, I had to, ask all kinds of questions. I want to say 75% of it, I had no idea what I was talking about. Like principal, interest, taxes and insurance, mortgage, amortization, LTV, value. I had no fucking clue what this shit meant. But after doing it enough times, repetition is key. You start to just learn, right? You become natural. And so one of the hardest challenges inside of that call was I had to ask for their date of birth and their social security number. Now this is on top of asking about how much they make per year, how many kids they have, the ages of their kids. And so there's a lot of vital information that you're given to some young man that fucking damn near barely hit puberty 5-6 years before, right? And so why this is an important note is because when you really think about it, the alternative to where you're at right now is actually your choice. It's your option. That's the best part about an alternative, is no matter what, you have an option. And you might be saying right now, like, oh, Daniel, man, I don't got no option, man. Like, I gotta go through this. I got A, B, and C. Well, that's what I meant by, the sign of today, the sign of the times now, is that you have a lot of resources to overcome whatever is limiting you. Now I know there are some things that just simply cannot, that they're simply not considered a limit, right? Those are really fucking hard. Like, you can't just get around that. Like listen, like being able to speak, right? Or hearing or seeing, your senses. You may have lost a sense, or you may have had an accident where you don't have a sense, or you were born that way, and that in itself is I believe and I agree is a limitation, right? I can't tell you listen if you can't hear. I can't tell you look if you can't even see, right? I can't tell you you cannot do certain things unless your senses are heightened, or they're working properly, for example. So I'm not saying that you know, no matter what your limitations are, fucking break past that. What I'm saying is there are people with those limitations that break past that, but that's your alternative, and that's the difference. And so where I'm getting at is when we, you know, when we make up these reasons or these excuses, it is because we are settling for the alternative. And so how I mentioned in the earlier part of this video, why I say alternative, let me give you an example. And so anytime I ever have friction, I will always make it a point to ask for the sale twice. I'll never do it more than 2 times. You know, they say like a rule of thumb is you ask for sale for at least 3 times or more. And I believe that if you continue asking for the sale, you're going to get to a point where you just irritate your prospect. And so you never ask for the sale more than twice. And the 3rd time, well, you know, when you ask the actual sale that you do make after asking for the sale twice, for example, and you didn't make it, is you mention this verbatim if you can. So let's say you're going through your pitch, you ask for the sale twice. Like, it's not back to back, right? Like, the way you ask for a sale is you just summarize all of the details you gathered in your initial phone conversation, and you reaffirm it, you reinforce it. So you say, you know, I just want to verify your main goal was to create some monthly savings. Your main goal was to improve your existing term, and with the benefit you planned on doing A, B, and C. Is that correct? Yes. Okay, great. This is what I found work. What's your feedback? With this plan or with this option, you can do this and that and that. Let's just say they say no. Say, okay, well, you know what? I thought you would say that, and remember, that's your first no. This is your response. Okay, you know what? I had a feeling you'd say that, and this is exactly why I brought this option to you. So let me run this by you real quick. Now, this option does A, B, and C, and it helps you with your A, B, and C goal, and so on and so forth. And then and then the way you ask for the sale is not a yes or no question. The way you ask is, say, in order to get the ball rolling on this, though, I'm going to need A, B, and C, or I'm going to need you to start the process, or I'm going to need you to put a deposit down, or I'm going to need you to do whatever it is part of your sales cycle, and then put it out there. And then if they still say no, then that's twice. You want to stop. Not going to ask for any more sale. The only thing you're going to ask for next is a follow-up. And so, you know, let's say after the second no, then what you do is you come back and say, okay, I completely understand. You know what? I have an idea. I'm going to put some information together, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to call you back around this time, if that's all right. And, you know, make sure that you invite, you know, if there's another decision maker, another party, you want to make sure that you invite them. But work it in this way and say, because I know that your alternative is to stay exactly where you are with no benefit, no monthly savings, you can't accomplish A, B, and C, and I really want to help you accomplish A, B, and C, and I'm confident that I can help you do this. I just need to, I really need to get to work, and I'm going to get creative and you know, put it together for you. Once I have it ready, if I have any problems, I'll give you a call if I can't release it. Otherwise, I'm going to have it ready for release by around this time. Is it okay if I give you a call, let you know it's ready? And then that's your way to follow up. And if they, you know, of course, more likely they're gonna say, yeah, no worries, because they just want to get you off the phone sometimes. But it's methodical, right? And it's because at that time, that prospect just may not be ready. They just may not be about the alternative. People are just like that. And sometimes you catch a person in the wrong time, and sometimes we are willing to sacrifice all the work we put into something because, let's say, it's 6:30 at night and you want to go home, or it's 11:30 and your buddies are saying, hey, are you ready for lunch? Or it's 2:30 and you just had the fucking barbecue buffet and you're in food coma, you're lethargic, and so we'll just be like, yeah, you know what, blah blah blah, and you know, the frustration or kind of just the mood and the energy feeds through you, and it comes out in your tone. And so these are little things and little keys that we have to pay attention to, because the alternative is to not. And the alternative is to not be better than you were the day before. And I think the reason why you are following Sales Remastered and why you spent damn near 15 minutes with me on this video is because you understand it's all about the alternative. So make that difference today, and I'll see you on the next one.